managing his care. It got to the point that I started copying the county executive, Calvin Ball, and a lot of other people, including Howard County Board of Education. And nobody was responding. They were opening my emails because I have email tracking, but nobody would respond. I mean, they opened the emails a lot and nobody responded. I mean, I was just simply trying to get information so I could get my son services, but no one responded. That is what gave me a high index of suspicion that there was retaliation going on, because from the point when those reports came back from the Maryland State Department of Education, everything was delayed. It was like in slow motion. And I could not get any help. And if I did get a response, it was so backwards. It had nothing to do with what my email was inquiring about. So in early August, I sent an email to Dr. Martirano, the superintendent, and all of the members of the Board of Education. So in this email, I put a lot of attachments, including the 2 conflicting police reports, the final investigation report from Bancroft, in addition to offering Howard County the audio of the person in question regarding the abuse. Initially, I did not get any response. So on the 14th of August, I received an email from Mr. Bill Barnes, and he said he was responding for Dr. Martirano and was requesting to set up a telephone meeting. So I was like, okay, so that was good, because at least I felt like I was making some progress. So the meeting was set up for the 15th. On the 15th of August, Mr. Barnes called me and we talked for over an hour. I mean, it was like an hour and maybe 10 minutes or something like that. During that time, I literally poured out my whole heart. He was so kind, so warm, and just very nice and wanting to help. So I felt like, wow, this was really good, because I had never had anyone who was trying to really help me. And I just really poured my heart out, and I just told him about all my concerns, because he asked me, he said, hey, what are your concerns? We want to get to the bottom of your issues and start getting some things moving for you. And I was excited about that. So I really poured my heart out to Mr. Barnes and just told him everything about all of my concerns regarding both of my children's issues. And he listened, like really listened. I reiterated all of my concerns regarding the incident at Bancroft. I talked to him about my concerns regarding my son not receiving any services. And my biggest concern, the biggest concern out of everything, was placement. I wanted to know what the deal was, because school was about to start in about a week or so, and he had no placement lined up. So Mr. Barnes, he listened, and he listened to all my ideas. I had suggested maybe like home and hospital, and bring like a behavior staff into the home, and all these different things. So he said he was going to be looking into everything. He understood my concerns. I talked to him about the lack of communication between the staff, everything. I was really excited. So Mr. Barnes said that he was going to get Dr. Savage involved, and I didn't really see the point, because I had actually talked to Dr. Savage some months prior in person when we were at an event, and she knew about all of my concerns regarding my children's IEP, and nothing was ever done. So I didn't anticipate anything was going to get done at this point. So he arranged a meeting for August 21st that would include Dr. Savage, himself, me, and the coordinator of compliance, Miss Patricia Gunshore, who was also now my son's technically case manager or facilitator. So Miss Gunshore was the person I had been trying to communicate with all along, and she was just not responding. Miss Care was another person who was his prior caseworker, and she wasn't responding. So nobody was responding. After that meeting, I was so excited, because I actually received a follow-up email from Mr. Barnes listing all of my parental concerns. I mean, this was just like a dream, because nothing like this had ever happened to me before. He mentioned that the team was actively pursuing placements for my son. He communicated the fact that I was not interested in a residential, and he would confirm that during our meeting. And if there were any other things that came up prior to that meeting, he would get back with me and share all of that. He mentioned that Ms. Gunshore would give me updates at that time as well. This was a really good meeting. I was so excited, because I felt like finally progress. It was like a relief. I could actually breathe, a breath of fresh air, to have someone who actually did their job. On the 21st of August, I was really excited to meet because, school was about to start and he still had no placement lined up. During that meeting, I was literally blown away. I was devastated because I was so excited when I talked to Mr. Barnes, and he had given me so much hope. But during that meeting, I realized that it was deception. I realized that Mr. Barnes' actions and motives were all deceptive. I was so devastated because I had really poured my heart out to him, expecting real results. And when we got into this meeting, it was almost like we had never even had a discussion. It was more like he had amnesia. Nothing that we had talked about was discussed in this meeting. So the meeting was basically carried on by Miss Gunshore, who informed me on that day that on August the 8th, 2023, she had a private meeting with the vice president of Bancroft, and they determined that they were going to hold my son's placement at Bancroft. Now, this was August the 8th. They made this decision behind my back, didn't invite me to the meeting. I'm his advocate and his legal guardian and his parent, for goodness sakes. I didn't even know about this meeting. And I had been asking about placement, had been emailing about placement. I had a meeting with Mr. Barnes about placement, and they had a private meeting about placement and didn't inform me. I just couldn't believe it. I was so shocked because that is just like a massive violation of my son's disability rights and my parental rights. So Howard County had basically decided that they were going to continue to fund this placement until my son's 21st birthday, which was October 8th. That was close to 90 days. So he would not have a placement that was safe, at least. And on top of that, they were marking him absent every single day for almost 90 days. Howard County Special Education Department did not have the decency to inform me about this meeting, to inform me about their decision, to include me in this decision. I was literally blown away. So, of course, I advocated hard and heavy because I'm like, look, my son doesn't feel safe there. I don't feel safe there. You guys aren't even monitoring his care. There's no contract in place. I didn't understand how it was possible that they could make that decision behind my back, but they did. So I went back and forth, back and forth. But Mr. Barnes just sat back like it was like waiting for a cat fight. The thing was, he said in this meeting that he moved 3 chess moves ahead and he foresaw this coming. Why did he foresee this coming when he could have just told me and we could have talked about it that day during that conversation? So he deceived me. That was betrayal. I lost every ounce of trust that I had in Howard County at that point, and I did not have very much. But I lost more trust in Mr. Barnes. And just knowing that he is currently the superintendent is disturbing. Because if he could do something like that to me, he'll do it to someone else.